Hi everybody, it is Melissa from Generation Studio and Shop. Welcome to Milk Paint 101 by the Real Milk Paint Company. We are going to learn everything about milk paint that you can possibly know. We won't go into all of their products, but we will hit a number of them. So let's just start at the very beginning, finding a piece. If you've been following it all, you've seen this piece before. It is very primitive. We've already chosen the colors for it. The colors that we're going to be using are the Betsy Ross Red, the Navy Blue, and the Ironstone. So we are really excited to get this started and go through a whole tutorial for you on how to go about using milk paint on a project like this. So the first and most important thing you can do when painting any piece of furniture is the prep work. I know it's a bad four-letter word, but we have to do it in order to get the best product at the end. Our piece will only be as good as what our prep is and what we start with. So the first thing I want to do is I have my vacuum, and I'm going to go ahead and open it up and vacuum the whole inside and the top and even underneath. Even though I'm not painting under here, it's a very old piece and I can bet you any money there's dirt and stuff underneath there. So I want to pick up any loose dust or dirt on there. So we're going to start with that, and you guys don't have to watch me while I do that. Just take my word that it is going to be done. The next thing after I vacuum it, I'm going to want to clean it. Now, since this does not have any paint on it and it is in a raw state of wood, I do not want to saturate it with water by any means. I do not want moisture getting into that old wood. So I am going to get water in my bucket with some rags and some sponges, and I'm just going to use Crud Cutter. It's a no rinse pre-paint cleaner. Now, even though it says no rinse, I always rinse. I'm a firm believer that I don't want to take any chances on anything being a barrier that my paint won't stick to the piece. So the Real Milk Paint Company does have their own TSP, which is wonderful. I just don't have any on hand right now, but so that's why I'm going to just grab my Crud Cutter, which works wonderful. It'll get a lot of grime off here, but I am not going to go ahead and spray it. Like I said, I'm just going to spray it on my rags and give it a good cleaning that way, because I do not want to saturate this. Now, if this would have had paint on it or another type of finish, I would definitely get in there and scrub it from head to toe and get all that grime off of there. But like I said, with this being all natural wood and raw, we want to just be a little bit careful with how saturated we get this piece. After I clean it, I'll be back, okay? Hey guys, we just finished vacuuming out, so now it's time to clean. Hey guys, I just got done cleaning this piece, and I noticed that the center bar had come loose, so all I did was grab my trusty hammer and pounded the nails back in to secure this piece up. I also found a little carved piece that was inside that belonged on the outside, so we've reattached that. So you'll want to make sure that your piece is in good working order. So the next step I'm going to do is just sand it lightly with 220 grit sandpaper. I really don't think I'd actually need to, since this is raw, but I just want to make sure that the wood pores are open up enough to take on that milk paint, and it's almost going to act like a stain as far as this raw wood goes. After I sand it, I'm going to use denatured alcohol and water, a 50-50 mix, just to wipe down all the dust, and just use a microfiber cloth to do that. And so after that, we'll be mixing up some paint and letting this piece dry a little bit longer, and we'll be back to paint. Hey, now comes the fun part, mixing up some paint. We have cleaned, sanded, vacuumed, denatured alcohol, and wiped down everything on that piece. So like I said, the fun starts now. We are going to start mixing up our paint. Milk paint comes in its true form, which is a powder form for milk paint. Now, I already had the Betsy Ross red mixed up. I also had the stoneware mixed up. I even have the navy blue mixed up. However, since this is going to be the main color on our piece, I think we're going to need just a little bit more. Now, since these have been mixed up previously, all I did was I shook them up and then also took a stir to make sure that I got any sediment off the bottom and mixed it up thoroughly. And what I'm going to do is put it in these little tiny jars just so you guys can see, and also so I can get my paintbrush in there a little bit better. So for now, let's mix up some more of the navy blue. So milk paint gets mixed up 1 part water and 1 part milk paint. So we're going to go ahead, I'm going to mix up, I have a good bit in this container, but like I said, since it's going to be the main color on this whole piece, I'm going to mix up about a 1/4 cup more. So I'm going to take my water, a 1/4 cup of water, put it in my, actually, you know what, let's do a little bit more because I can use it on another piece if I don't use it all there. So right now we have about a 1/2 cup of water in there, and then just go ahead and dry out your cup so that you can dip it in your powder. And we're going to do a 1/2 cup of milk paint. So that's a 1/4 there, and let's grab another 1/4. And put that in there. Load those aside. And then all you need to do is grab a marble, and you know what, I did not have one, so let me steal one from this container quickly. I thought I had that marble laying right here, and I have a whole jar, but they're my antique ones over there. So let me grab this one out, put the marble in. And I'm going to pop the lid on. Want to make sure it's on the whole way, so make sure you hear 1 or 2 good pops, and then we're just going to shake it up. And you can hear that marble in there acting as an agitator. And you'll want to mix it up for about 5 minutes. I'm not going to keep you on here for 5 minutes watching me shake this, so I'll continue doing that after I put some paint in these containers for you guys to see the colors. And since I didn't do that much, you might be able to go ahead and see the mixture already. Let me pop this open and see if I can run it around to show you guys how creamy. That's beautiful. I don't know if you guys can see. Let me bring it up to you. Look how creamy that is. It's absolutely gorgeous in there. So there we have enough blue, enough of the navy blue now. Since this is the newest one, I'm going to go ahead and leave that sitting there. And like I said, I will shake it just for a couple more minutes, but I don't want to bore you guys while I'm shaking, because this one has been pre-made, as well as the red and the stoneware. So I'm just going to pour a little bit of those out, and you can work right from the container if that's all you're going to be, working with that day. But I thought it would be easier to see them out of these containers. That's not necessary by any means. If you're going to be using the paint for another project, I would recommend putting it in a different container and just taking out what you're going to use. Now the red is highly, highly pigmented, so you can see how that was a little bit thicker. Oh, it looks so young, so great. I was going to say yummy, but yummy means I'd probably want to eat it. And I don't want to eat it, but it's a yummy color. All right, and then just let me pour some of the stoneware out so you folks can see what colors we're doing. Okay, so So there are our three colors. We have the stoneware, the Betsy Ross red, and the navy blue. Okay, so those are the colors. It's sort of a patriotic thing, but when it's on the piece, I don't think it's going to come across as such. So normally when you do mix up your milk paint, I like to leave mine sit overnight. You don't have to, you could still paint with it, at least let it sit for a good 15 minutes or so before you start using it, just so the powder has a chance to go in with the water and form a nice consistent paint for you, a nice consistency. But here's a trick. I like to do mine the night before, and that's why, you know, the piece gets time to dry or do whatever. And I even like to put it in the refrigerator and bring it back out, stir it up, and it's nice and creamy to work with. So that's what we're going to do, and tomorrow first thing we'll get back at painting our piece. Hey everybody, it is paint day! Woohoo! I always love getting to this part of the process. It's the fun part, right? The prep it needs to be had, but who likes to do prep? Not really anybody, right? If you do, that's okay. But it's not my favorite, although I tend to be like a prep queen with everything that I do. I probably over prep, but I'd rather be safe than sorry. So today, I grabbed all of our supplies that we're going to need. Again, we're doing this in Betsy Ross red in the real milk paint colors, navy blue, and ironstone. Or I'm sorry, stoneware. Oh my goodness, so many great colors. So my game plan in my head, I'm thinking, because of this being so ornate and like just primitive with the carvings, and when I say they're carvings, they are rough carvings, like you can feel where the chisel was going in and everything, so it's not going to be a smooth paint job by any means. But what I'm thinking is, since they are hearts in here, you know, I'm going to do the typical red, I think, in there. But we'll see as I go. A lot of times when I start painting a piece, it sort of just happens, and I'm sure a lot of you are the same way. So I have a whole bunch of different size brushes here, like my art brushes, because some of these details are very small. So I know my typical brush that I normally like to use, this is from the Real Milk Paint Company, and it's a natural bristle brush, and that's what I do highly recommend with the milk paint. It just goes on very nice with this brush. But getting in these details, I'm going to you know, use my artist brushes to get in there. So let's get started and we'll see where it takes us. One thing that we're going to do before we actually start painting the piece, though, is let's just check our paints and make sure that they're all combined very nicely. When they sit overnight, sometimes the sediment goes to the bottom, or not sometimes, it always does. It's a milk paint, so the minerals and everything are going to go down to the bottom. So just take the lid off, and with a stir stick, just gently stir it and make sure that you give it a good stir. Make sure there's nothing sitting on the bottom, and just make sure that everything is well incorporated with one another. So there you can see the navy blue. Yay, that's the main color. So that is all mixed up, and you can see how creamy it is. There's no hopefully you can see that there are no lumps, bumps, or anything. No dry powder in there that have set or anything. I mean, it is just as creamy from when I first mixed it up. A little bit had settled on the bottom, but already just with a couple stirs, that's already incorporated. We're going to do the same thing with the red. Now, some of the colors mix up differently. Some have, more pigment, and they just are harder to mix up and keep together, red being one of them. But it takes nothing just to mix it up a little bit. Make sure you grab everything off of the bottom, incorporate it with the water. I don't mind having a little bit, milk paint is prone to get a little foamy sometimes. There is an anti-foam that the milk paint company carries, and I do use that on occasion, but because the red is not going to be a prominent color, I'm not really worried about that. It goes on just perfectly fine, just the way it is. Let me just show you. Sorry to come up here in your face, but you can see the consistency of that, and that's fine by me. And one thing with milk paint, it's really neat because if you followed along at all recently with me showing you a little bit more about the real milk paint, if it after it sits for a couple days or something, if it gets a little more stiff, all you have to do is add a little bit of water and mix it up and it's good to go. Milk paint should last anywhere from about 2 weeks or so. I've been known to keep mine a lot longer. I believe on their website it's 2 weeks to a month. I do like to keep mine refrigerated, but I don't always do that. And I've painted with it well beyond that. It doesn't get a real bad odor or anything to it. It smells more like, I keep saying the word ammonia, and I don't know if my sniffer is picking up the right scent, but it doesn't smell spoiled. Like I have such a sensitive nose that like spoiled milk would really offend me, and this does not. So this is a little bit thicker, a little bit foamier. This is the white or the stoneware, and again, it's just going to be a little bit on the little pieces, so I'm not too worried about that right now. So let's get to it, okay? Okay, so I have the red hearts done. That's just one coat of the red heart, and the coverage is really good. I may go back and put another coat on, but I just want to let this dry for now. So we are going to move on to the stoneware now. And I just wanted to, I went and I grabbed the anti-foaming agent just so you guys could see it. And all you need is like a couple drops in there, and you stir it and all the foam goes bye-byes. But like I said, I don't mind the foam at all. It paints just as nicely as it not having any foam in there at all. I like the consistency of it, and I think it works really, really well. But I wanted to introduce that to you, and I'll do a post more on that, just on that alone. But it changes the consistency just a little tiny bit, but it still paints just the same. Okay, so let me figure out where I'm putting stoneware at and get to it. Hey guys, the red and the white is done as far as I know right now. Woman's prerogative, it could change any minute. But I'm going to start with the navy blue now and do the rest of the piece, and I'll get up on a ladder and do the top as well. I might throw in one of the other colors up on top. I'm not quite sure yet until I get up on the ladder and take a look at it. Okay, here we go with some navy blue. Hey guys, we are moving on with the navy blue. I'm going to go ahead and finish up the navy blue and I'll be back. Hey guys, I am done painting. It is a very primitive piece and the wood is so jaggedy that it has to be made to just be left primitive. So I'm going to let the paint dry for now and then we're going to come back and we're going to distress the heck out of it. I decided to leave the top in its natural state, but what I'm going to do is either hemp oil it or use a low sheen finishing cream on top of it just to provide it some protection so that you can actually use it and put drinks and things and whatever in it. You do not have to worry about, you know, the dampness of the glass or food or anything like that. So we're going to come back, we're going to, like I said, distress the heck out of this baby, and then we're also going to put some, I think warm black wax is what I've decided, but we'll see. So stay tuned. Be back. Hi. So I've looked at this for a few minutes now while the paint's been drying a little bit, and I've decided to paint the top as well. So let me get that done and then we'll continue to let it dry. Hey, the paint has dried or it's mostly dry, should I say. The top, since I did that last, is still a little bit wet, so I'm not going to touch that. I'll start at the bottom, but we're going to go ahead and start distressing this piece. I'm going to be using 150 grit sandpaper, some 220. I have some a tongue depressor and a piece of wood that I use to distress sometimes, and I'll show you how I do that. And also I have a wet rag for some wet distressing. So here we go. We're going to start distressing this. All sanded, time to clean up. Let's vacuum up the sand dust. Well, we're just about done. It has now been totally distressed using 220, 150, some tongue depressors, some wet rags just to distress it, wet distress it a little bit. And it's where it is now where I think I like it. So now what we need to do is put a layer of protection on it. I debated whether to use hemp oil, which I thought that's which way I was going to go. I thought about using different kinds of waxes. The Real Milk Paint Company has a load of colors. We have, you know, black, really dark brown, white, gray, clear. They also have something called good old brown wax, and that is what I'm opting to use today on this piece. It just seemed fitting since this is such a primitive piece, and I used colors on it that just made things stand out on a little bit. And then with all the distressing, I mean, I distressed the heck out of it, which I think it needed. I'm really happy with the way it looks right now, but I think adding some protection with the good old brown wax, it's a soft protector. It's has a little bit of a luster as far as the finish goes, but it is it's really easy to work with. Let me put it up there for you. It's called good old brown wax, and it's just a great wax to work with. So what I'm going to do is just start waxing it, and I always use just an old sock unless I want to get down in these nitty gritties, which then I'm going to grab my wax brush or like a stencil brush or something and get down in there. I'll see what I can do with my sock, and if this won't do it, I'll grab a brush to do that. So I'm going to pop this open, and I'm just going to wax it now. The wax will deepen the color a little bit. It is, it's not a real dark brown. Let me see if you can see it. I mean, it's not a deep espresso or anything like that, but I like the way it works, and it's a nice soft wax. It's good to work with. So I'll get to that and show you when I'm done. So I am done waxing, and I think it looks great. We just need to leave it sit on there for a little bit, and then I'm going to buff it off, and we'll be all finished. So it is all waxed and has been sitting for a little while, so now I'm going to go ahead and buff it just with a lint-free cloth. I'm going to wipe all the excess wax off of it and buff it as best as I can, and then we can show it off and get it all staged up, okay? And we're finished. Here she is, all in her red, white, and blue glory. Just to recap, what we did is we found a piece, we cleaned it, we vacuumed it, we sanded it, we wiped it down to get all the dust off, and we started painting it with the Real Milk paint in the colors Stoneware, Navy Blue, and Betsy Ross Red. We went in and put different colors, different places. We let it dry. We came back, we distressed it, and we distressed it a lot because it was a primitive, chiseled out piece, which is really fun. So we wanted to give it some wear look, so we just distressed the heck out of it. Then we decided to use a wax on it, and for that we used the Real Milk Paint brand Good Old Brown Wax. So there she is. We're going to get her all staged up, and you guys, thank you so much for coming along on this tutorial with me. I really appreciate you guys hanging in there and going through step by step on how to use the Real Milk Paint and what it can do. In the future here, we're going to be doing a piece that is more modern looking that you can achieve with the Real Milk Paint, but this is something definitely primitive, old world look, and I just think she turned out beautiful, and I think she'll find a home very quickly. Thanks again for joining me, and I'll shoot some pictures in afterwards. Thank you so much. Take care, and happy painting.